Hello, friends, and welcome back to BudgetIQ. You ever wonder if you're just hardwired for wealth? Or maybe there are some simple tricks you're missing out on? Well, today we are diving deep into the blueprint for financial success.
So, let's just jump right in with a big question, one that could totally change how you look at your bank account forever.
Now, I know it might sound a little out there, but some fascinating new research suggests there's a really powerful link here. Think of it like your own personal financial blueprint. So let's figure out what yours actually looks like.
Okay, so this whole thing starts with what psychologists call the Big Five personality traits. And don't worry, we're going to break them down one by one. First up is openness. Now, if you're someone who scores high in openness, you're probably the adventurous type, right? You love trying new things, you're always exploring new ideas. It's kind of like your inner explorer.
All right, next on the list, conscientiousness. This is basically your inner planner. You know, the part of you that gets that little thrill from making a good checklist and actually seeing a task through to the end. Yeah, this one is all about discipline, being reliable, and planning for what's ahead.
Then we've got extroversion. This one's pretty simple. It's all about where you get your energy from. You know, extroverts are the life of the party. They just thrive in those bustling social settings and feel totally charged up when they're around a bunch of people.
Number 4 is agreeableness. This trait, it's all about how well you get along with other people. You know, being a team player. So agreeable folks tend to be super compassionate, cooperative, and trusting.
And last but not least, we have neuroticism. Okay, so this one is all about how you handle stress and those not-so-fun negative emotions. If you're high in neuroticism, you might find you're a bit more prone to anxiety or mood swings. But here's where it gets really fascinating. It's how these 5 traits combine to create some very distinct financial profiles. So, check out this chart. Research has basically identified 3 core profiles here. First, you've got the resilience. These are people who are emotionally stable, pretty balanced. And no surprise, they tend to have the highest average income. Then you have the over-controlled, who are high in that neuroticism we just talked about and low in extroversion. And finally, the under-controlled, who are low in conscientiousness. What this chart shows so clearly is that there's a definite connection. Your personality profile, it's linked to your financial outcomes, including your income. Pretty wild, right?
Okay, so now you've got a sense of your blueprint, right? But listen, even the best blueprint on the planet is useless if you're building with the wrong materials. Or worse, following really bad advice. And man, there is one piece of bad advice we absolutely need to tear down first.
I'm sure you've heard this a million times, the latte factor. You know the one. It's that idea that if you just stop buying your daily $5 coffee, poof, you could have nearly $1 million in 40 years. But let's be real here. The math on that is kind of fuzzy, and it totally ignores the real budget breakers for most of us Americans. I'm talking about things like housing, healthcare, and education. So the big takeaway here is stop worrying about the coffee and start focusing on the big stuff. That's where you can make some real progress.
So you might be thinking, okay, great, but how do I tackle those big wins without feeling completely overwhelmed? Well, it all comes down to a few simple but really powerful habits that you can start like today. Let's take a look at how these small changes can start building some serious wealth.
All right, first things first, stop overpaying on your recurring bills. Get this, Americans overpay by about $50 billion a year. That's insane. So instead of spending hours of your life on hold, you can actually use a bill negotiation service. The process is super simple, as you can see. You sign up, upload your bills, and then they do all the hard work, all the negotiating, for you.
So what these services do is they'll negotiate better rates on things like your cable, your internet, your phone bills, all that stuff. And the best part, they just take a cut of whatever they save you. So you only pay if they actually succeed. The average customer saves around $300 a year, sometimes even more. Seriously, what would you do with an extra $300?
Okay, here's another awesome micro habit for you. It's called the 2-minute rule. The idea is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it right then and there. Don't put it on a list, don't overthink it, just get it done. And when you apply this to your finances, man, it's a game changer. That could be just opening your budget spreadsheet, starting that email to your financial advisor, or even just quickly calculating what a 1% bump to your retirement savings looks like. It's all about building that forward momentum.
And hey, speaking of 2 seconds, if you're getting some real value out of this explainer, would you do me a huge favor? Take 2 seconds to hit that like button, maybe drop a comment, and definitely subscribe if you haven't already. It's a massive motivation for us to keep bringing you this kind of content.
And just a quick reminder, of course, while we always aim to give you great information, remember this is all for educational purposes. You should always do your own research and maybe even talk to a pro to figure out what's right for your unique personal situation. All right, let's get back to it. Because you know what? The biggest gains in finance, they aren't just about tactics. They're about your mindset. We're talking about rewiring your brain to see opportunities that other people miss and to avoid those hidden traps that catch almost everybody.
Now here's a surprising one for you: exercise. Yeah, really. As you can see in this little diagram, physical activity creates this powerful, positive feedback loop. When you exercise, it actually boosts your confidence and what researchers call social self-efficacy, which is basically a fancy way of saying you believe in your ability to handle social situations. And that increased confidence, it makes you way more likely to go after your goals in all areas of your life, and that includes your finances.
You know, to build a truly wealthy mindset, you can't just learn from success. You have to learn from failure, too. The legendary investor Charlie Munger, he put it perfectly. He said he just wanted to know where the failures were so he could avoid them. And this brings us to a really critical mental bias that almost all of us fall for. It's something called survivorship bias. Check this out. During World War II, analysts wanted to add armor to the parts of returning planes that had the most bullet holes. Makes sense, right? But a brilliant statistician realized they were looking at it all wrong. They should armor the parts with no holes. Why? Because the planes that got hit in those spots, well, those were the ones that never made it back. And in finance, this is huge. It means you can't just copy the one successful investor everyone talks about. You have to study the thousands who tried and failed to really understand the true risk.
Phew. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From your psychological blueprint to high-impact habits and the whole mindset of success. So let's boil this all down to a super clear action plan that you can start using right now.
All right, here are the absolute key points to take away from all this. Number 1, know your blueprint. Really understand your personality's financial tendencies. Number 2, hunt for the big wins. Focus your energy on negotiating those major bills, not stressing about lattes. Third, use that 2-minute rule to build consistent, positive habits. And finally, number 4, build a resilient mindset by learning from the failures, not just the highlight reels and survivor stories you see online.
So, that brings me to my final question for you. What is the just one habit you're going to start this week based on everything we talked about today? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you found this helpful, you know the drill. Please give it a like and subscribe for more explainers just like this. It is truly the best way to support the channel, and it really motivates us to keep going. See you in the next one.